What's up, baseball fans? What's up, Met fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets at Rob. Day 4 of the MLB negotiations here on a Thursday at 2:30 in the afternoon. The meeting has gotten started. The first half hour to 45 minutes, they met with their own people and representatives before they actually went into a room about 20 minutes ago together to negotiate. We hope a deal can get done. You know, tomorrow is Friday. Monday's the deadline. You heard the owners talk about if there's no deal by the 28th, games will be missed and not made up. That is a big deal, not just for the baseball fans, but for the players. Somebody wrote an article saying that per day, players will lose $20 million per game in total of all the players in the league. So $20 million per game if a day of the game is missed. So let's hope it doesn't get to that point. Clearly, the owners are threatening the players and saying we are not remaking these games, so you will lose money if you do not come to a deal by Monday the 28th. Again, guys, this is exactly what baseball fans did not want and did not want to go through all through this process. A lot of people thought that it would get done. Some thought that it would actually be done by now, but let's just hope that somebody makes a big move because that's what it's going to take. Either the player side or the owner side is going to make a big move towards the other side of what that other side wanted. And that's probably how this deal is going to get done. I don't see anybody just signing a deal just to sign a deal. They want what they want. And I'm not Jesse Rogers of ESPN posted about about 15 minutes ago that there was a huge amount of players. I think it was around 20 to 25 players that showed up today for these meetings. So that's nice to see as well, because that just shows that more players are getting involved. They're going to voice their opinions directly to whoever's representing the owners at this point. And it only makes sense. Look, it's going to hurt everybody if games are missed. We do know that, let's be honest, the cost of opening up a ballpark for a game with vendors and concessions and workers and grounds crew and everything, security, everything that you could think of for opening the stadium for a game, the owners spend a ton of money just opening the doors of their stadium. And that's not including paying the players, paying the administration, paying everything that has to deal with opening the gates at Citi Field. They're not going to have to do that if the games are not played in the regular season. So at the end of the day, the players are losing, people are losing jobs. They're not getting paid to work in concessions and security and whatever else is involved with opening the gates. So the owners, technically, yeah, they're not probably losing. They're losing the money on the TV rights for that game, the ads, everything like that. But there is a situation where they can only miss a certain amount of games when the TV revenue gets cut off. So that's when the owners are going to have to worry. What that number of games are, I don't know. That really hasn't been known. But at the moment, $20 million per game. If there's regular season games missed, each game in total, $20 million per day, the players are losing out on if the season doesn't start on team time and the games are missed. So that is a lot to look into, but they are meeting right now. Once again, 20 to 25 players did show up for this meeting. So that's a great sign. Lots of opinions are going to go about. Clearly, the players are trying to push for a deal, and I think the owners are too. But let's be honest, nobody's budging in this situation, and that's the biggest reason why they're at a deadlock right now. There hasn't really been much going on negotiating wise. There's been small changes to owners' proposals and small changes to the players' proposals. So at this point, we just sit and wait, hopefully get some good news. if there's no deal today, let's hope that there's some decent, pretty darn good progress going into Friday. Because in my opinion, guys, I think Saturday is the last day they're going to meet during the week. I don't think they're going to meet on Sunday. And they'll probably meet on Monday as the last day that a deal could get done according to the owners if the games are not going to get lost during the season. So, what's up, everybody? Don't forget to hit on that like button. If you're new to the channel, what's up? My name is Rob. Thank you for tuning in. Talking Mets with Rob, day 4 of the MLB negotiations live right here on Talking Mets with Rob. I will be with you until 5:30 until we get some news regarding what was these negotiations about, what was the new proposal that was proposed to the other side, and get all the details right here on TMWR Live. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to say what up to everybody in the chat. First off, I'm going to say what's up to Sean, member of Talking Mets with Rob. How you doing? And also Grant, also a member of Talking Mets with Rob. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the support. And now we're going to go down the line. Joseph, Robert, Al, Russell, Harley, Nelson, Webbs. What's up, Webbs? Had long time no see, buddy. And Lindor, how you guys doing? I'm going to look at your comments really quickly, guys, but thank you guys so much for tuning in and hanging out with me during these negotiations. And hopefully we get some good news because we all want baseball. We all want rumors because it's going to be an exciting week and a half. When this deal gets done, the amount of free agents that are going to sign, the amount of trades, there's going to be news every single hour of every single day until everybody is signed or the big guys are signed and the big trades are signed. So here we are, guys. Day 4 of the MLB negotiations right here, February 24th on a Thursday. 4 days. Technically 3 because it's already 2:30 in the afternoon today. Monday, February 28th is the last day that a deal can get done or there will be season games missed during the MLB season, and we will not be playing 162 games because the quote of the day was from the MLB spokesperson: if there is no deal by February 28th on Monday, the games that they missed during the regular season will not be made up. Now, logistically, that's probably going to be very hard to deal with because of opening day tickets and the amount of money people spend on opening day tickets and travel and everything like that. You know, if March 31st is not the first day of opening day and it's April 5th, well, now you got to make that opening day, but who knows how they're going to do it. But let's not worry about that yet because there's still time to get a deal done. Let's hope that they see how much of a priority this is to get it done, and that's what they have to do. They need to stick in a room. I'm so sick of an hour and a half, 2 hours of meetings. They need to, I don't understand why they meet at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when they can meet at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Just makes more sense to me. But hey, what do I know, right? I'm just a baseball fan who just wants baseball. So let me see your comments, guys. Don't forget to hit on that like button, guys. Let's get the stream out to more people, more Mets fans, more baseball fans. All are welcome today. We are all baseball fans, all for the love of the game, and that's why we're here. So let's see the comments, guys. All right, here we go. Lindor, I hope the players end up cracking because I don't think the owners will. Probably right. You know, I think the players have to like get off the whole situation where they're talking about, you know, with the luxury tax and the penalties are crazy. I think the penalties have to get out of the way. But in my opinion, when it comes to the collective bargaining tax or the the CBT, right? The problem with that is even if there's no penalties for going over whatever number, I still don't see more than 4 or 5 teams going over $200 million. I don't think the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to spend $200 million because they know there's no penalties. They're not doing that. The Rays aren't going to do that. The Guardians are not going to do that. The Royals are not going to do that. And probably 26 other teams are not going to do that. So they have to get that out of their heads. It's just not going to happen. The penalties, I think, can be a little less. I think they're extreme. 50%, 60% when you go over is kind of insane to me. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the minimum salary of a player, they're about 30,000 apart, give or take, to meet in the middle. And I think that's probably more closer to happening than not. And that's something that I think that can probably move in the direction of the players. Because I think around 680, 685 is probably where it should be. It's in between both the 775 and the 665 of what the owners and players ask for. So in between that just makes sense. Let's hope they get some movement on that. The Super 2's arbitration, the service time is probably another key issue. I'm not sure where that's going to go, but there's still a lot of things that they have to get resolved in 3.5 days, basically. And let's hope they do that. Well, honestly, I don't even really think there's been progress. The only progress that I've seen is that they showed up and met 3 straight days, or now 4 straight days. That's about it, Lindor. All right, Grant, what's up? I find it absolutely insane that the players keep moving in reverse and raising original amounts if they get some traction with the league. Exactly. And, I got into a little, I wouldn't say a fight, but it's more of a verbal disagreement on Twitter with Tim Ryan, who is a writer for, I believe he has his own blog now. He was at the Queens Baseball Convention as well. I was explaining, he was on the players' side, and I keep on saying, why does it seem that when the owners make a proposal, it seems to go a little closer to the players? It might be a minimal move towards the players, but it's something. And then when the players make a proposal, they keep the same minimum salary at 775 that has not changed since their first proposal in January. That hasn't moved lower at all. And then when it came to the revenue sharing, that hasn't really moved. And they haven't come down. But even the owners, they were saying 15 million, went up 20 million. So it's not a lot of movement, but it does seem the owners are moving a little bit towards the players. The players are not moving at all. And I don't feel like it's – at first I thought the owners in the beginning were making strides or no strides at all to get anywhere near the players' asking price. But the players haven't moved at all. And it has to come to a situation where Tony Clark has to get these players that I hope that's the reason why there's a lot of players here today, because I think some of the players are probably like, listen, we know the luxury tax is going to be what it is. Let's see if we can just get the penalties down a little bit. The minimum salary is not going to hit $700,000. It's probably going to be around 680, 685. They have to come to some kind of middle ground, and the players need to do that. And I think that's why a lot of the players are here, because I don't think all of them really want this to continue to basically be a stalemate, basically. And that's basically what it's been. They've been meeting 4 straight days, but little progress has been made. Harley, how you doing, buddy? I think a fat pre-arb pool and a good minimum salary would please. Yeah, I agree. You see, the problem with the pre-arb pool is that, the players are asking for a lot of money. And I think it's a little outrageous of what they're asking for. I get it. They want earlier arbitration. They want better percentage arbitration. And, like I said, I mean, to our eyes, when you're at $2 million and then you're a second or third year arbitration eligible and you get like a 5 or 6% raise and you're at 3.5 million, we see that as a lot of money. But in their lives, in their realm of baseball, in Major League Baseball, they don't see that as a lot. So it's not really much that we can do about that. But, I do think moving up the pre-arb pool a little bit helps. And a good minimum salary, like I said, 675 to 685, I think is really fair, coming up from 575. The owners moved up almost $80,000 to $100,000. The players haven't moved at all. Maybe if the players went from 775 to 740, maybe the owners would be like, all right, we'll go to 690. But why should the owners keep on moving up when the players haven't even budged? I don't think that's fair at all. And I think the players are starting to, and I think more people are actually leaning towards the owners a little bit more and not really on the side of the players as much as they were early on. 100% Mike, I agree they need to fix it. Yep, Mike, exactly. They're very greedy, and that's exactly why both sides are way too greedy, and it's hurting the game and it's hurting the negotiation basically. No, exactly, Mike. $300 payrolls don't guarantee anything, but there's a lot of teams in this league, right? 5 teams, maybe 6. I'm pushing 6. 5 or 6 teams that might go over $200 million. At the moment, I think there's 3. I think it's the Mets, the Dodgers, and the Yankees, and everybody else is under $200 million. So that's 3 teams that are over $200 million. No matter if there's no penalties or not. If there's no penalties, what maybe 2 more teams, maybe the Red Sox or maybe the Tigers might spend a little bit more money. But let's be honest, these teams are not going to spend that much money because they see the value in bringing their younger players up, hoping they perform, and going that way. If a lot of these players just want teams to just sign players to astronomical numbers and then don't worry about the young guys that are trying to come up, then it's still the problem of the players, no? And then on top of that, these players are asking for more money. They see the percentage of salary going down, but yet you don't hear the players talking about guys like Giancarlo Stanton or guys like that, Giancarlo Stanton, who got a huge contract for how many years? 13 years? When the back end of that contract, probably the last 4 years of that, is going to be embarrassing. He's not going to be able to play the field. He's going to be hurt. He's not going to be able to hit the way he's been able to hit. And there's a lot of players who, like a Lindor, you really think Lindor's 10-year contract, the last 3 years is going to be a disaster. It's going to be Robbie Cano territory. That's what it's going to be. But you don't hear the players talking about that. Should the players give back money when they don't perform in the later ends in their contract, when they're old and can't perform to their capabilities or to the money they're making? They're not giving that money back. What about that type of revenue sharing? How about if you don't perform to what you're capable of or your stats, considering what your contract is, you get back the money to your team? No, that's not going to happen, right? But the owners have to cough up money even if the player does not perform. How does that work? In what realm in society do you know if you don't perform at your job, you get a raise, you keep all your salary? It doesn't work like that. But in sports, so specifically hockey, baseball, and basketball, guaranteed contracts. Football is iffy. They get big signing bonuses, but their contracts are not guaranteed. You don't perform, you get cut. In baseball, hockey, and basketball, you got guaranteed contracts no matter what your performance is. But we don't hear nobody talking about that, right? That's okay. When Giancarlo Stanton and Francisco Lindor is on year 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th year of their contract, and they're batting 210 and can't even get around the bases or can't remain healthy because they're 35, 36 years old and they can't perform anymore, they're still getting every penny of that contract, right? That's a huge problem, but nobody talks about that. Well, Mike, I don't 100% agree on that. I think service time should be about 4 years. 6 years is a little outrageous because not only do teams manipulate service time, when a guy's ready and they don't bring him up, knowing that if they bring him up 2 weeks after the opening day, they keep him an extra year. That's sad. But the problem that you see now, guys like Chris Bryant, Michael Conforto, Correa, a lot of these guys, 28, 29 years old, they're getting close to 30. These guys, this might be their only big contract in their career because they'll probably get a 6 or 7 year deal, and that will take them to 35, 36 years old. And if you see the trend in Major League Baseball, these players are not getting paid anything basically unless you're a pitcher like Max Scherzer at the age of 36, 37 years old, getting a big contract, a lower deal contract, but big money contract. That's the problem that is with service time. I think service time should be 4 years. I think that's fair to the player, and it's also fair to the team because it makes the team make a decision quicker on a player than it would when it's a 6-year service time. I mean, look at Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is going to be 30, going on 31 years old when he becomes a free agent because the Yankees brought him up extremely late, around 26 years old, 25, 26 years old. At that point, he's 30, 31 years old, going to be a free agent. And how many teams are going to give him more than a 7-year deal? Probably none. Well, we all know that. I mean, somebody has to be naive as a fan, thinking that players or owners give a damn about the fans. They don't. They really don't. Until it hurts their pockets, they don't care. And let's be honest, with TV revenue now and ad revenue, they make so much money minus the ticket sales and the merchandise and the concessions. They make so much money from just the TV deals and the ads that they don't have to worry about us, even though it's nice because it gives them a little extra money for us spending money in concessions, buying tickets and merchandise. It's just the fact that they don't care. It's that simple. No, exactly. They don't get their money back. And that's the problem that I have with the players. I don't hear the players like, wait, so you want the owners to share revenue for concessions and ticket sales and merchandise, all that revenue, because the players already have a deal with teams when they sell their jerseys. That's a different part of revenue sharing. They already get that money. But now you want the owners to give you revenue sharing of all those 3 things I just mentioned, but they're the ones that are paying for the vendors and paying for the people who are working in the stadium and on the concessions and in the merchandise in the shops, right? That doesn't make sense to me. If you get your jersey revenue from people buying your jersey or anything that has your name on it, fine, that's cool. But that type of revenue sharing is ridiculous to me because the owners are taking money out of their pocket to pay the workers that are in those concessions and them shops. The players aren't. So I don't understand. Yeah, you see, I mean, I understand why they turned down the mediator. I get that. Only because, obviously Major League Baseball, just like the NFL and the NBA, all these high profile administration guys basically have mediators and lobbyists in their pockets at the federal level. So I understand why the players union doesn't want a mediator because they feel like they're probably going to get screwed in some type of way. But let's be honest. I don't know if a mediator would have helped anyway, because the mediator kind of is fair, but in a way, it's just trying to get somebody to just say, all right, the hell with this. Let's just sign it. So I don't really know. But it is interesting that the players turned that down twice. 100% agree. 100% agree. Exactly. It's not even what the players want money wise. It's just the amount of things that they want in this CBA. Like they want a DH, they want draft lottery, they want draft pick compensation gone away, they want a 14-team playoff, they want minimum salary to be $775, they want arbitration pool percentage to be higher. They want, what else do they want? They want revenue sharing to be higher. They want 7 or 8 things. Not in whatever the thought of compensation is. They want 7 or 8 things in this new CBA. When, let's be honest, in any negotiation, if you ask for 7 things and you already get 4 of them, which they are, that's a win in my book. The DH, the 14-team playoffs, the draft pick compensation, and the draft lottery. That's a win in my book. Maybe if you want to get a little bit more in minimum salary around $680, okay, fine. But the owners seem like they're willing to go that far. But why are the owners continuing to increase the minimum salary when at some point, like they didn't go much higher in the minimum salary at all in their last proposal because they noticed that the players weren't lowering their minimum salary proposal. So what does that tell you? If I'm the owners, why would I keep on going up when you guys are not even in good faith moving down the minimum salary? And your astronomical ask of a revenue share that's over $100 million when the cost, 100% of the cost of that revenue sharing is for concessions, MLB shops, team shops, and merchandise, right? So that means merchandise, concessions, and vendors that comes out, and all the workers that comes out of the owner's pocket. And any way that the owner and the stadium makes money is also going to the players as well. When the bill comes, the owner takes it out of his pocket. So how is that revenue sharing? I get the whole thing when it comes to revenue sharing when a player has his name on a jersey or a bat, a hat, or whatever. Any name or picture of a player that is sold by the team or Major League Baseball or a licensed MLB shop goes to the player as well. That's understandable. But they get that already. They already get that percentage. It's already 50-50 in that. I don't see how an owner of any company is going to pay the bill for workers and keeping the stadium open and security and vendors and everything like that. But yet, whatever money they make from that aspect of the stadium has to be shared with the players as well. It makes no sense. 100%. Well, yeah, we already take the Mothman. 100% we take it. That's the problem. Yeah, and like I said, look at the teams that won over the last couple of years. All right, the Dodgers, fine. But that was a 60-game season. You know, the Nationals, all right, they had a decent, pretty big payroll, but they still went over $200 million. You know, the Braves won last year. I think their payroll was at 150. So it's like, yes, you want to put some money in the team to make it better, fine. But it's not even about who spends the most. It's just a matter of the players thinking that penalties for these teams that go over the luxury tax threshold is going to make them stop. The teams that are always going to go over the luxury tax, we already see the teams. I don't see a team like the Detroit Tigers or the Texas Rangers or the Rays or the Pirates or the Royals or the Guardians spending that money because there's no penalty. It just doesn't make sense. Especially when a team like the Royals, who won in 2015, barely had a payroll of $100 million, but yet won the World Series in 2015. And you see teams like the Indians at the time, who had Lindor and a couple of other good players, made the playoffs, made the World Series, who had a payroll under $135 million. So if teams spend smartly and don't overpay for every freaking player, now granted, the Mets can spend as much money as they want and they can win a World Series. But is that directly linked to the money they spent? Not really. But again, I think the players are asking for way too much and they're not coming back on anything at all. And that's a problem when I see it. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like everything that I've seen is that why do you think the players want the DH? The players want the DH because they want a 37, 38-year-old Robinson Cano remain in this league because there's the DH. They want Nelson Cruz, who, granted, he can still hit, but now he is basically going to get, this is a Nelson Cruz that's probably going to get $10 million from a team who is probably taking a spot off the roster from a younger player who's making a lot less, who can actually fill that role as well. So when it comes to these players, you know, they think they're helping the younger players, but they're really not. They're really not. Because that same team that wants to spend $25 million on a Chris Bryant is now going to think about not bringing up Brett Beatty because we have Chris Bryant, or making a trade for J-Ram and giving him a contract. And now Brett Beatty is probably not going to come up when he's supposed to because they have that logjam at third base. So the players think they're helping younger players, but they're really not. So I don't know. Well, they already almost got it to $100,000. I know they had like a threshold like in 2022, 2023, 24, all the way up to 2027 that it goes up gradually, but they moved it from, what is it, 575 right now? They already went up to like 635. So, all right, it's about $70,000, but it's a lot more movement than what the players did, which was none. Yeah, no, that's true, Christian. I get that. But the problem with the 6 years as well is that it really doesn't really it really does screw the player. It really does. Because knowing that the teams can manipulate a year of service time from the player, look, we saw it with Chris Bryant, we saw it with other players as well. Specifically Chris Bryant. I mean, he basically put a grievement suit against the Cubs because he was ready, and the Cubs didn't bring him up until the second week in April, so they can keep him an extra year. I think 4 years is fine because what it does, it gives teams, it makes teams make decisions. And the problem and you know what? It hurts a lot of teams too if you really think about it, Christian. Yeah, it might take 4 to 5 years to complete a full rebuild, fine. But those same rebuilding teams are the same ones that are actually trading off all the young talent who is coming up on the contract in a year or two, trading up their young talent that are pretty good, trading them for prospects to save money. For what? They already traded the guys that are going to become free agents. So it really doesn't make sense. What it does, and it hurts teams because you see teams like the Yankees right now with Gary Sanchez and Gleyber Torres and Aaron Judge, right? Because of their service time and they're still a part of the team and they're not free agents as of yet, the Yankees have been holding on to these guys because they're still relatively cheap, so to speak, even though they haven't been performing like Gary Sanchez. If Gary Sanchez was any other player and wasn't making league minimum or a little less than or a little above league minimum, he would have been out on his ass already. But because he's still cheap, that's why he's still a Yankee. You can go for a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams that keep their guys for way too long, knowing that it's probably not going to work out. They're not performing, so they don't have no trade value, but yet they still have to keep them around because they're still cheap. And then pray that they get better so they can trade them. So it works both ways when it comes to that. And it makes the teams make a decision. Either trade them or sign them. And I think it gives the teams can rebuild quicker that way as well. So guys, you know what I normally do? Refresh Twitter so we get any news of the lockout, and let's see what we get at the moment. I'll keep on going through your comments. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Anything. They've been there for about a half hour now in the same room, so let's see. Yep, nothing yet, so I guess that's something good. You don't hear nothing. Well, that's interesting, Harley. You see that I can that see again, once again, Major League Baseball, the owners are moving towards the owners a little, towards the players a little bit more. See, that's the thing. So like they're kind of going back and forth in this situation. I'm not surprised. If I'm the owners, why am I keep on giving when the players are not even giving anything that we asked for? So yeah, I think it should be 6 teams. I think that's fair. sixth worst team in the league, can have close to 80 wins, give or take. So I think that's fair. 6 teams go in a lottery, and it gives those 6 teams a chance to get the number 1 pick, which is, I think, is fair. Yeah, I mean, right now the penalties, if you go over once, it's 50%. If you go over twice, it's 60%, and if you go over 3 times, it's like 75%, and that's on the new deal. I think they should get it under 50% completely, and because I mean, at the end of the day, the whole point of the CBT is paying that luxury tax to give the less fortunate teams, so to speak. But those same teams are taking that money and putting it in their pocket and not putting it towards their team. If the owners were smart, and I think the players were like this, any team that goes over the luxury tax, whatever the number is, 214, 215, that luxury tax that they pay to smaller market teams, that money has to be spent on the 40-man roster. I think that's fair. At least the owners are not pocketing the money and they're putting it towards the 40-man roster. If that's signing a player, or if that's removing a player and putting the player on a 40-man roster for taking on somebody's contract to add to the 40-man, something like that. But they have to use it on their 40-man roster. I think that's fair. No, that's true, Webbs. That's a lot of percentage that make under $1 million. But let's be honest, these same guys also get revenue from selling their jerseys, selling any type of merchandise that has their face or name on it. They make money off of that. Just being in the major leagues, they get endorsement deals, right? They get a lot of stuff too. They can probably easily make $1 million outside of the game of baseball. I mean, look at Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso wins the home run derby. He gets $2 million in 2 years, not including gets all these endorsements. We've seen him on commercials. We've seen him with Nike making deals. So he's making a few $1 million outside of baseball as well. The owners make what they make from the only thing they can get is the TV revenue, the ad revenue, and whatever they can sell through concessions and everything like that. But at the end of the year or the end of the game, they get a bill. What bill does the players get? They don't get a food bill, right? They get a buffet every freaking day, right? They get that. They get their own hotel suites. They get almost everything they get. They get free medical, free therapy. They get a lot of stuff that comes out of the pockets of the owners too. So all these players that make a league minimum, I'm not going to cry. Listen, let that player make the salaries that we make and see who's going to complain. All right. Even if they make $575,000 and they're in New York or California, they're still bringing home $200,000 after taxes. And if you can't live off of that, then you need better financial advisors. Just my opinion. What's up, Rocky? How you doing? Oh, yeah, for sure. But let's be honest. Those same sports that they're looking at, like soccer, has always been global, but has been taken off a little bit in the U.S. as well. So their profits are astronomical more than Major League Baseball. The NFL is king. The NBA, who have deals in China and Japan and European countries that are getting all that money in from European countries and China and all of that. And let's be honest, guys, a full NBA roster is what? 12 players, 15? It's a lot different than 40-man roster, right? The NBA doesn't have to worry about paying a minor league system. All right, recently they got the D League, but that's still what, 24 players? Maybe 30 altogether, 30 players between the NBA team and the D League. I mean, how much money are they actually throwing out? The NFL doesn't have no minor leagues. The NHL has a minor leagues, but their salaries in the NHL represent what they take in revenue-wise, and also the NHL is similar to the Major League Baseball, who has to pay minor leaguers as well. And, the upkeep and the jerseys and the travel and the arenas and the rents and all that stuff as well, the facilities, everything like that, right? There's costs that nobody talks about when it comes to the owners, when it comes to the NHL and Major League Baseball. There's a reason why the NHL salaries are not as big and one of the lowest in all of major sports. That's because the revenue is not as high. Baseball's revenue has been getting lower and lower. The attendance has been lower and lower every year. Owners are rich. We know that. But you also have to take into consideration the amount of money they actually put in to all the facilities that they have to run through the minor league system. Granted, I do think they should pay the minor leaguers more, at least a livable wage. That's a story for another day. Because let's be honest, guys, this collective bargaining agreement has nothing to do with the minor league players. Just so everybody's clear about that. So that's a totally different story than what we're talking about here. Hey, Hayden, what's up? Yeah, for exactly, Grant. Like I said, nobody in the way we're looking up from our perspective, the everyday blue collar guy who works a 9 to 5 or works any types of shift and bringing home 50, 60, 65,000 a year there's no way we can relate to somebody making $500,000 a year. It's just nearly impossible, right? But when they cry about simple mathematics, about a few $60,000-$70,000 when they're already bringing in $300,000-$400,000 after taxes in most states, and not on top of that getting endorsements and everything like that, and getting revenue sharing from their merchandise that they sell throughout the league. And a lot of these players now have their own merchandise that they sell. Look at Stroman. I'm not a big fan of Stroman, but he has the HTMH apparel that he has on his website. He's probably making a decent amount of money like that from that as well, right? I don't think he's struggling. Have you seen the cars that he's been posting on Instagram? He blocked me on Twitter, but I mean, come on, like, Max Scherzer rolled up in a Porsche yesterday, right? And that's the same guy that is fighting for who? The other players, the minimum salary guys. Is that really what he's fighting for, or is he fighting for the 38-year-old like Robinson Cano, who they want to stay in the league to become a DH because that's why they want the DH? Oh, and don't forget, guys, the 14-team playoffs means that every one of those players in them 14 teams get bonuses for making the playoffs. Even if it's one game for a wild card, they're getting the bonus. Oh, wait, draft pick compensation is going by the wayside. So that means Nick Castellanos, who wouldn't have the Mets, the Yankees, or the Red Sox involved in him because of the draft pick compensation. Now those teams will be involved in him because there's no draft pick compensation attached to him. Who is that helping? All right. Oh yeah, the guy that's going to make $100 million. Oh, the draft lottery. Let me think. Okay, 6 teams considering are going to be in the lottery to get the number 1 pick. Great. So the same bad teams that are usually the worst 6 teams in the league almost every year is going to get pick 1 through 6. No matter what. So who is it really helping here? Is it really helping the minimum salary players? Because it's not. The only reason why the Players Association is talking about the minimum salary and not budget on the $775,000 is because that's the only thing they can keep their hats on for the $40 million player who is saying we're trying to help the players who are making minimum salary. When in all honesty, everything they're asking for is not helping the minimum salary guy. The luxury tax penalties, and they want to increase the luxury tax as well. Who is that going to help? The same guy that's going to make $25 million a year. So let's be honest, guys. When the players say they're trying to help the younger players who are making minimum salary, they're asking for one thing for the younger players that are making league minimum. One thing. Everything else that they ask for is because of them and the guys who are making tons of money already. So don't let them fool you in that situation. Oh, Andre, I hope not, man. That 140 games, are granted, it's still over 120 games, which I really think is needed, but I mean that just sucks. I don't know how they're gonna do it. They're just gonna start it whatever day they see fit. You know, this is gonna suck. Lindor, some people were talking about that. Like, oh, the Mets actually finally have an owner that wants to spend money, and the Met fans are excited, and finally they have the opportunity to do so and be a good team. And then the Mets have to deal with a pandemic when Steve Cohen becomes the owner, and then now with the lockout, the Met fans can't even enjoy that. Just our luck, right? How you doing, Timothy? Timothy, I don't know. I hope so because then we're going to be missing some regular season games. That's the issue I'm trying to make, Christian. Like the players don't have to split the bill for the owners, right? The players want all this revenue sharing that they talking about when they're to get shared revenue when it comes to merchandise that has their name and faces on it that they split 50-50 with the owners. Why should the owners give any revenue that they make from concessions and any type of ads or any type of TV deals when the owners are splitting the bill or paying the bill for all the workers that open up those gates in City Field that you see on an everyday basis, not including the vendors that they have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on every day for food and drinks and everything like that. I don't see the players asking for that to pay that, but they want money on the revenue share of those type of expenses and profits. How does that make sense? It's like me telling my company, hey, you guys made a ton of money during the pandemic. How about you give me a portion of that profit? They're going to laugh at me. I mean, come on, it doesn't work like that. No company or no owner in their right mind. I don't know how many people are owners or in a small business or anything like that. But if you're a small business owner, right, and you know that during the pandemic you made a decent profit because you had a food business or whatever it is that you made a profit higher than you usually make during the pandemic, and your employees come up to you and say, "Hey, could we get a bonus?" You're gonna look at them like, "Why? I pay for the rent. You don't. I pay for all the product that's here, all the food that comes in. I pay you to prepare it. I pay you to be a cashier. I pay you to do this. Why are you trying to take my profit when I'm paying you for the duties that you were doing?" The owners are paying the players who are their employees to perform, because if it was a profit, if you get the profit to perform, and if you pay bad, you don't get that contract, or they'll analytically figure out, well, you didn't have this good a year. Of that $20 million contract per year is not going to be 15 million per year because you didn't play to your capabilities. How fast would the players complain? Right? It doesn't work like that. The players don't split the bill for everything. The amount of expenses the owners have, no matter if the owners don't want to open up their books or not, common sense should tell the players the amount of expenses that go into just opening the damn. Sorry about that, guys. Had a little bit of a logistical situation. Sorry, guys. I don't know. Maybe it's the Russia doing the cyber attacks. I don't know. Sorry about that, guys. You know, Wi-Fi is not perfect. Even though I got the Ethernet cable connected, you just never know sometimes. All right, so where were we? Let me just make sure. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. All right, so what were they saying? All right, so that's the thing. The players never talk about the expenses of the owners. I know I'm lagging again, guys. I'm sorry. It's a lot going on today. Sorry about that. All right. No, Web, they did not. They didn't even put that in the agreement. Isn't that messed up? That's messed up, right? Like, damn, I need to negotiate some Wi-Fi or some better Wi-Fi. Usually the Wi-Fi has been good lately. I've been pretty good with it, but I got a lot of people in my house today, so that's probably the reason why. I have to lock the doors today. People would be bothering me every second, but that's all right. So, once again, guys, I'm gonna refresh Twitter, see what we hear, if anything, and we'll get some news out there. But keep on coming with your questions, guys, and let's see. Hopefully, we get some good news, right? Let's see. I don't see anything, so that means they're still talking, which is good. It's not a bad thing. Let them keep talking. It's already almost 3:30. All right. Okay, so nothing so far, guys. So there we go. I read those. How you doing? End the lockout? Damn right. 100% agree. 100% agree. Oh, you know what? Webs, that's a good one. Oh wait, I'm sorry, where is it? Oh, there we go, Webs. Yeah, it's gonna be insane. Like I think as soon as they sign the deal, you're already gonna hear rumors going all over the place. The amount of teams that are gonna be signing players left and right is gonna be so quick because no matter what, there's still gonna be, everybody's got to remember there's going to be less time to get ready for the season, no matter if they start on time or not. So they got to get these players in who are still free agents and trades and everything like that. I mean, that first week the CBA is signed, I mean, I might have to stay alive 24/7 just to get the scoop. Like it's going to be insane the amount of content that's going to be happening, the amount of breaking news. It's going to be crazy. And yes, Webb, Carlos Rodon, absolutely. I think they should. I worry about his injury a little bit, but when he's healthy, he's one of the more dominant pitchers in the game. That's for sure. Hell yeah, end the lockout. I hear you. So before we get into more talking, guys, once again, guys, if you want to become a member of Talking Mets at Rob, you can just go at the bottom of the screen, right below the stream, and close the chat window, and you'll see the join button. There's 3 different type of memberships: the orange and blue membership, the Shea Stadium membership, and the You Gotta Believe membership. Each one of those memberships, the higher you get, the more perks you will get. I'm working on trying to get up to 15 members because 15 members means I can actually do member only live streams and also do all the perks that I want to do. But the majority of the perks are going to be during the season, like free giveaways, ticket giveaways. If you're You Gotta Believe member, I will be giving ticket giveaways that is either in your hometown if you're not in New York, and if you're in the city where the Mets are playing in, I will get tickets for you there. Or if you're in New York and you want to go to a game with me, we can set that up as a free giveaway as well if you're a You Gotta Believe member. At the moment, I believe there's 2 or 3 you gotta believe members right now, and there's other members that took the other lower packet memberships, which is cool. But there's free giveaways throughout the memberships. But if you want the higher and bigger free giveaways, that's what we're going to be doing as well. And many other perks as getting my videos an hour or two before they're posted to the public on YouTube. So that's the other perk as well. And you will get exclusive photos of me at games and all types of photos with players and everything like that exclusively through the members as well. So take a look at that when you get a chance. Lindor says, I'm really hoping for Bryant. Me too. I just think it's a smart move. I think it's cost effective because not only do you got a guy who can play many positions, but you can put him at third base right away, move Escobar to second, and if Brett Beatty is as good as he seems to be, and he's ready the second half of the season, you can always put Chris Bryant in right field, moving Nimmo to left, and putting Brett Beatty at third base. That's the situation I like best because of the versatility that Chris Bryant has. Dan, how you doing? Where do you think Dom Smith and Jeff McNeil are headed? That's a good question. I mean, there's so many teams that Jeff McNeil can go to, like the White Sox. They need a second baseman. That would be interesting. Some people were talking about Jeff McNeil for Craig Kimbrell straight up. If the Mets take on that contract, that's interesting because that does put a big time arm in the bullpen. But the problem with that is, and I think I made that argument, is that Craig Kimbrell is very similar to Edwin Diaz. If Craig Kimbrell is not in a closer's role at that moment and he's coming in the 7th or 8th inning, they don't know how to pitch unless the game is on the line. So that worries me. And, I do also see Jeff McNeil possibly getting traded to the Reds and a Luis Castillo deal in the package. I feel like the Mets want to keep Dominic Smith around because he is a backup to Alonso as a first baseman. And I do think Dominic Smith can platoon with Kana in left field. And I feel like Dominic Smith's bat is better than what we've seen last year. And I think the Mets want to try to keep him. I do think McNeil is gonna get traded. I think he worn out his welcome here. You can't put him at second base. You just can't. You can't have him up the middle with Lindor. They're not friends. They don't like each other. It's just a disaster waiting to happen. I wouldn't be surprised McNeil will be on the way out. You could see him in a trade to the White Sox, the Reds, maybe to Oakland for like a Sean Manaea. That might be something as well. But that's where I think. I think Dominic, nobody's talking about JD Davis. I've said it in a video about a month and a half ago. I want JD Davis to be the everyday DH. If he is healthy, JD Davis can hit 25 home runs and bat 280. We've seen it in 2019. He hit 22 home runs, if I'm not mistaken, 22, 23 home runs, and batted 284. If that's the production he has, if he's healthy, because he can hit, I don't want to see him on the field because he can't field to save his life. But if he can hit the way he did in 2019, I want JD Davis as my everyday DH. And you could put Dominic Smith in left field to platoon with Kana and give Alonso a day off here and there, putting him at first base. Webbs, look, a lot of people talked about that trade, but I don't think it makes any sense getting a guy like Chapman or Jose Ramirez from the Guardians. The reason why I say that is because Brett Beatty is on the fast track to the pros. And if he's not here in the second half of this year, he's definitely going to be up next year. And the problem with Chapman or Jose Ramirez is that none of them can play another position other than third base. And if Brett Beatty is ready to come up to prime time, where are you going to put Chapman or Jose Ramirez? Now, they obviously are clearly going to help you this year, no matter what. But what do you do when Beatty's healthy? I'm ready to go. I don't know. And that's the problem. I rather just that's why Chris Bryant makes so much more sense than any trade of Chapman or Jose Ramirez. Because Chris Bryant can be moved very easily if Beatty is ready. If Brett Beatty is ready, Chris Bryant can move from third base, play left field or right field, and you're good to go. With Chapman and Jose Ramirez, you're putting up a logjam at third base, not including Vientos as well, who might be on this roster as well. So I do like that trade for this year. But after this year, it seems like it's going to make more problems than anything else. I don't know. I still think Chris Bryant is still the guy to get. I don't think we're trading Nimmo. I do feel like the Mets like Nimmo a lot. Conforto is interesting. I could see the only way I see the Mets going after Conforto and bringing him back is if it's on a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal with a second-year option. That's the only way. I don't think the Mets want to give him any more than a 2-year deal because I don't think it makes a lot of sense. But once again, you know, I think Epler likes Michael Conforto. Put it that way. That's why I think Conforto's name has been popping up. Oh, I hope Conforto doesn't sign with the Phillies. But then again, I don't know. Would you have to put Harper to? I don't know if Conforto can play left field. I mean, I guess he can, but that would be look. We know one thing about the Phillies and Dave Dombrowski. One thing Dave Dombrowski does every single year, no matter what team he's the general manager of, he always finds a way to make a big deal. In my top 20 free agents list, I actually had Chris Bryant going to the Phillies. I felt like that's another option for the Phillies. Chris Bryant would be perfect for the Phillies. As much as I don't want him to go to the Phillies, he's a perfect player for the Phillies. The Phillies need a lot of help in that lineup, and they can play Chris Bryant anywhere, as I said with the Mets. So watch out for the Phillies. Like Webb said, Conforto or Chris Bryant. Well, yeah, you know what? That's an option, Christian. You know, that makes sense. You know, would it be a straight up trade Dominic Smith for Sean Manaea? And then the trade when the A's trade Olsen to either the Yankees or another team that's interested, then they get their prospects that they want and the players that they want, and they get an everyday first baseman, not only getting prospects for whatever they trade Olsen for. So yeah, that's an option. You know, that would make sense for the Mets to do that. I don't know if the A's would just do a Dominic Smith swap for Sean Manaea. It's possible because Sean Manaea is making $10 million and Oakland wants to shed that payroll, and Dominic Smith is making $650,000, maybe a little more. So that kind of makes that's actually not a bad idea, Christian. That's a good call. I was trying to stay away from the Stroman comments because I am not a fan of Stroman. I was never a fan. Even when Stroman was mowing down hitters for the Mets, I was still not a fan. I think he was a cancer in the locker room. He was a me player, and you know, bringing everything to the forefront when it came to calling Anthony DeComo a wop. And then he talks about racism when clearly that's a racist remark. I'm sorry, but you know, I don't know what his comments were talking about. You know, look, there's a lot of players in this league. You know what? There's a lot of people in this world that get death threats and get racist remarks. Look, nobody's dumb enough or naive enough to know that racism is not real. Obviously, it is. But come on, just because somebody doesn't agree with you or don't like what you say is not automatically somebody who's racist. They can disagree. That's normal. I just feel like that's the reason why the Mets didn't even bother offering Stroman any type of contract, because he's a cancer in the clubhouse. He likes certain players on the team. He's really not a team player. And you know what? Let's be honest. He's in the perfect spot in Chicago. Let's be honest. He's perfect. They just paid him $70 million over 3 years for a guy who's a 5-inning pitcher. and he's not going to have the same amount of success as he did with. He's not going to have a career like he did last year with the Mets. And you know what? When he comes to Citi Field with the Cubs, he's going to hear it. That's all I'm going to say about Stroman. Sledge, what's up, buddy? Nick Castellanos, 95 runs, RBI can't be bad for. No, it's not. Granted, I could see production going down a little bit. He is a 280 hitter, which is nice. He hit a lot of home runs. I see the home runs ticking down a little bit because he did play in a Great American Ballpark, which a pop-up out there is a home run. So, if he hits 22 home runs, 23 home runs, I could see that. He can definitely knock in 85 RBIs, especially, hitting them balls that would probably be home runs at Great American, being doubles, maybe triples at Citi Field. I do worry about him defensively. We will lose something defensively with Castellanos, but I wouldn't mind that bat. But it all depends if the draft pick is attached to him, Harley. I don't see, maybe before the Mets got Escobar and Marte and Kana, Ketel Marte was an option because they do have to trade for him. But, I mean, look, it's not a bad idea, but I don't think the Mets are looking that route, Merlinville. Yeah, we like that. We like that. Webbs, let's see. Oh, you're one of the people that know Marte should be leading off. Thank you. I like it. Chapman, okay. I see what you're doing there. You traded for Chapman, okay. It's not a bad lineup. I think Chapman should be behind Alonso, but other than that, that's a pretty good lineup. Again, trading for Chapman, again, I don't see that making much sense for the Mets, honestly, because again, of Brett Beatty. Again, it's a 1 year great deal for this year, but what do you do with Beatty or Chapman for that matter? But it's a nice lineup. Yeah, but if you look at the Chris Bryant problem with Chris Bryant and his defensive ratings, it's kind of hard for him to be a great defender when he's constantly getting moved to every different position. When you're playing third base one day and now they throw you to right field, and hey, Chris, can you play center field today? Your defensive ratings are probably not going to be as great as somebody who plays that same position on an everyday basis. So I'm not looking much into that defensive situation. I think with the Mets, Chris Bryant would probably have one spot for most of the season, except for giving guys days off here and there. I think 5 out of 7 days he will be playing one position. So his defensive ratings will be a little different. Looking at his defensive ratings, knowing that he plays numerous positions, it's hard to actually rate his defensive metrics when he plays so many positions. Oh, I can't wait. Like I said, I was never a big fan of Marcus Stroman. Ever. He's a cocky guy who thinks he's better than he is. He talks like he's a 3-time Cy Young Award winner. And he's a 5-inning pitcher. Let's be honest. So, and he's one guy, when he gets flustered and he gets emotional on the mound, he sucks. So, I never liked Stroman. His attitude was just never pleasing to me. I rooted for him because he was wearing the laundry. That's basically it. When the Mets got him in 2019, I was happy. New York, Long Island kid coming back to his hometown. I was all on board. I bought his number 7 jersey when he was number 7. I bought it. I'm sorry, not his jersey, a shirt. I bought one, because representing the guy from New York, it was all good. But I started not to like him right away. It sucks, but you know what? He's putting more fuel on the fire when there was none. Yeah, again, that's fine. And I understand that about Matt Chapman. But when you compare Matt Chapman to Chris Bryant, someone who plays multiple positions, you can't really look at their ratings and metrics defensively and say Chapman is better than Chris Bryant. Of course he is, because Chapman plays one position, and it's easier to be better at one position than being better at multiple positions all at once. But, again, you have to trade for Matt Chapman. You're not getting Matt Chapman for a bag of balls and Jeff McNeil. You're just not. And again, getting Matt Chapman means you're blocking Brett Beatty, and that's a problem. I mean, possibly, yeah, for the 1 year. But again, Brett Beatty's going to be up next year, and then you're going to have problems. Again, I'm not saying Chapman's probably not better than Bryant, but Bryant fits better on this team now than Chapman would. It's just the way the Mets are set up right now, honestly. Yep, I agree, Andre. Oh, that's funny. That's a pretty good comment. See, yeah, a question. I I did a video about this about a week ago with Contreras. It kind of makes sense on both ends because, excuse me, Marcus Stroman's best year was with James McCann behind the plate. I don't think Billy Epler is a James McCann fan, and I think that's why some articles, a reporter talked about Wilson Contreras and the Cubs possibly trading him, and it came up to my mind, why don't the Mets try to make a deal? Change James McCann for Wilson Contreras. Yeah, you might have to add a top 10, maybe a top 15 prospect, or just James McCann for Wilson Contreras straight up, but pay McCann's contract, give Chicago about $15 to $20 million to pay for McCann's contract, because I think overall better defensive catcher Contreras, and I think is a better hitter than James McCann ever will be. And Contreras is a little bit cheaper. I think if the Mets can pay some of McCann's salary and trade him to the Cubs for Wilson Contreras, I think that's a pretty good deal for the Mets. I'm not sure if the Cubs would go for it, but it came up in my mind when I thought about doing the video. I don't know about Freeman. I think Freeman's got to go on the wayside. I know Merleful, you're on board with getting Freeman, but I don't think the Mets are any looking at Freeman at all. No, I don't think so, Dan. I think the Mets are going to get one more big bat and one more big arm, and working on two bullpen pieces, Ryan Tapia and Andrew Chafin. I bet you both of those guys are going to be in the Mets bullpen, including Familia. I think the Mets are going to give a 1-year deal to Familia. But I think the Mets are going to get one. The Mets need one more big bat, Dan. It's very simple. The Mets have no power in this lineup other than Pete Alonso. Marte's not a power hitter. Nimmo's not a power hitter. McNeil is not a power hitter. Escobar's not a power hitter. Marte, we can go around the board. Connor's not a power hitter. McCann's not a power hitter. I don't consider Lindor a power hitter. I think he's more of a doubles guy who's a gap-to-gap hitter who can bat you 260. I don't think he's a power hitter who can hit you maybe 20, 22 home runs. The Mets need another power bat protecting Pete Alonso, because there's going to be a lot of moments when they're going to start pitching around Alonso to get to somebody else because they're worried about Pete Alonso's power, and you got to put somebody to protect them behind him. Timothy, I don't think the Mets are going to sign Freddie Freeman. I think the money can be spent better elsewhere. Freeman's a great player, but the Mets at this point have two first basemen, Dominic Smith and Pete Alonso. What are you going to do with them? Yeah, exactly. He even talked about them, how the organization treated him bad and everything like that. And then when he came to the Mets, he said he wanted to be a Yankee. Like, I mean, come on. Like, for someone who always talks about being positive, he never has a positive word out of his mouth unless it's about himself. So let's be honest. There is no player on the Mets that has defended Marcus Stroman after the season at all. So that tells you something. Yeah, I don't think the Mets are going to go after Kershaw. I think you're probably, if it's not Rodon, who I think is another big option for the Mets. I think a guy like Kikuchi is another back end of the rotation guy that might help this team. He will be a lefty. I think Kikuchi can be pretty darn good, and coming from the American League, from the National League, is going to help. And Chapman does have a hip condition. That's a good call, Christian. Well, we weren't talking about Stroman. Stroman talked about us saying that we're racist and we gave death threats and talked about the Mets organization. Stroman started it. Somebody asked me a question about it and I answered it. That's about it when it came to Stroman. I was never a Stroman fan, but he is a Cubs problem. But Stroman, who was never provoked, was the one who said a comment about Billy Epler and the Mets organization and the fans. So, and it is a pattern, that's for sure. Ed, how you doing? Do you think they should get Josh Donaldson for no, because what that is going to require is taking on a ton of money for an older third baseman who still has a pretty good bat and decent glove, pretty good glove still. I don't know if the Mets want to do that. I think he has 3 years left on his deal. Let me check that out real quick. Let's see. Let's see. Let me check his contract. I think he has 3 years left on his deal at a pretty reasonable amount of money. Yeah, you see, he has a lot. So he has 3 years left on his deal with a club option for 2024. So he's making $21 million at the age of 36. So the Mets are probably going to have to give a prospect or maybe trade Jeff McNeil for Donaldson, and you're going to have him for 2 years with a club option. I mean, yeah, it's not a bad idea. I mean, the Mets are trying to do that last year when that went up by the wayside. But I mean, it's an option. I wouldn't be against it, but I don't know if the Mets are willing to trade, even if it is trading Jeff McNeil and taking on that $21 million for a 36-year-old aging veteran. I don't know. I think that's a little too risky to take. Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure. Oh yeah. Like I said, I'm not saying Chapman is not probably better at this point than Chris Bryant, but when it comes to Chapman, great, we're gonna have him for 1 year. When it comes to getting the performance that you're probably gonna get from him, yes, and somebody said it, I forgot who it was, but talked about his hip issue that is also a problem. It hasn't been lately, but there is still an issue there. But yes, he is better. But again, Brett Beatty is going to be up next year, maybe even the second half of this year. Chapman is just in the way. Chris Bryant will not be. Well, with Escobar, I like Escobar. I think that was a pretty good signing by the Mets. I just want to see something. I'm checking Escobar's stats really quick. So in the last since 2017, he had 21 home runs, 23 home runs, 35 home runs, and 28 home runs. And I'm not counting 2020 because there was 60 games. So yeah, he averaged about 25 home runs around that time. But yes, he was a pretty damn good player for sure. There's no doubt about that. And I think he's a power hit. I just feel like he's going to be in a bigger ballpark, and I think he's going to be more of a line drive hitter that's going to hit. Some of those home runs are probably going to be doubles off the wall, but you could be right about Escobar. Yeah, he's averaged about 26, 27 home runs over the last couple of years, but I still don't consider him a power hitter. And he is playing in a ballpark that is bigger. And I know he played in Arizona and Minnesota, which is not small ballparks, but I never felt like Escobar is a power hitter, but I thought it was a great signing by the Mets. Well, yeah, I mean he does. Oh, New Yorker, absolutely, he's definitely better, no doubt about it. But you also have to take into consideration on what the Mets are thinking about, and the Mets are, your number two prospect is racing up the depth charts really quickly in the minor leagues, and there's a pretty good chance that he can make this team in the second half of next year, and definitely next year. So Chapman's going to be an issue after this year. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to complain if the Mets get Chapman, but you're going to have to give up something to get Chapman. What are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up a Mauricio? Because that's probably what Oakland's going to get. Billy being in Oakland, they're not stupid. They're not just going to give him away, even though they want to get rid of that salary. Yeah, they might take a Jeff McNeil, but they're probably going to ask for a prospect in return as well. I don't want Greinke. I think he's a disaster waiting to happen. He's never the type of person to be in a big market. I know I don't consider LA a big market, by the way. LA is, yes, they're a big conglomerate, but LA doesn't get the scrutiny as a team as Boston or New York or Philly, and he's not going to perform in this type of situation. He reminds me of Sonny Gray, and I think he's a disaster waiting to happen. I think going the route of a veteran like a Kikuchi, I think makes more sense because I think you can get more quality from Kikuchi than you are a Greinke at this point. Exactly, New York. Absolutely. That exactly. You just read my mind now. Oh yeah, it looks nice, but let's be honest. You're gonna have a 37-year-old Scherzer and a 37-year-old Greinke. It's a little risky. We have enough problems when it comes to injuries. We still have to worry about Carrasco, who's about 36 years old as well. So I'd rather have Kikuchi. He's decent. He's good. Rodon, I say don't, spending $12, $13 million, $15 million for 1 year of Greinke is more of a risk than Carlos Rodon because if Carlos Rodon is healthy, he can be one of the better pitchers in the game. If Greinke is healthy, I think he's an average pitcher at this point in his career. Because Greinke is not better than Scherzer, but he's like in the middle of the pack when it comes to pitchers nowadays. So once again, guys, I'm going to refresh to see if we got any news on the negotiations. And let's see if we got anything. Here we go. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. A lot of people are tweeting that today and Friday are huge for the meetings. Let's see. Nope, nothing yet, guys. So they've been in there about 2.5 hours now. So we like that. That's a good sign. Maybe they're really working hard for once. It's possible. Alvarez talked about it. New Yorker, what about Smith and JD? Did I miss? I keep McNeil out of the deal, but I like the trade. See, I think McNeil is gone, New Yorker, honestly. I think the Mets just are tired of McNeil's nonsense. And I think I think you can get more value for McNeil because teams have been asking for McNeil since last year. And I think you can probably get more back for him than you would Dominic Smith or JD Davis. And like I said earlier, I like JD Davis. I'm telling you, if JD Davis was healthy last year and he didn't get hit in the wrist in the opening series against Philadelphia last year, I guarantee you he would hit 20 plus home runs and bat 280. He's that good of a hitter. People haven't been talking about JD Davis much when this guy can mash the ball. He was a big part of the lineup in 2019. People seem to forget that. People went crazy on Michael Conforto and Dominic Smith, who had a great 60-game season, but nobody talked about the whole entire year. JD Davis had a great offensive season when he was getting moved around from third base to left field, third base to left field. JD Davis can be a perfect DH. And I would be really, really focused on JD Davis for the Mets giving him a chance at the DH spot. Let's see. Swap of third baseman Chapman for Vientos. Well, I don't think Oakland would take that right away. I think they would want somebody else as well. I'd do that in a heartbeat, but I don't think the A's would do that. Yeah, exactly, Marlon. I think Rodon is a, a a risk, yes, but I think it's a better risk than other pitches that we've been talking about, because I think the value and the production that we can get if he's healthy is amazing. I mean, he had a 2.3 ERA last year. He was pretty damn good. Yes, he had a little injury issues, but even if he pitches 23 games and he's healthy for the playoffs, he'll be pretty damn good. Exactly, Christian. They're a huge market. But, I can assure you, they do come late to games, right? They're not on New York or sports radio talking about, they're more concerned about the Lakers than anything else, or football. Well, not really, but they're not they're more concerned about going to the beach and living that laissez-faire life. You know, they're not like the markets that you talked about, Christian. I agree, New Yorker. Rodon's a perfect fit. That's the big arm that I'm looking for. No doubt about it. Fire from SNY. Do you mean like commentators or? Okay, Lindor. See, as soon as I put Twitter down, that's when they talk about something. Let's see. Let me look. Do we see something? Why don't I see it? Oh, here we go. League negotiators have been back and forth between the room where players and discussions are on their own. Okay, well, we got something, and it's 4 o'clock, so that's good. I don't know if McNeil. I think the attitude can come back to reality a little bit. I think Buck can work on that. But my bigger problem is I think McNeil got into his head that he's a power hitter when we all know he ain't. And that's the biggest problem. And if he don't get out of that, look, McNeil can't bat sixth or seventh in his lineup. He's useless in that spot. He is a number 1 or 2 hitter. And at this point, McNeil is not batting in those 2 spots because Marte and Nimmo are a better 1-2 combination than any other combination with McNeil at the 1-2 spot. I think the value that McNeil could bring to this team, trade-wise, is more than what he's going to bring in this lineup. Because I don't think McNeil, I think him and Lindor is a problem. And no matter if it's Buck Showalter as manager, I think if Buck Showalter was the manager when this nonsense happened last year with the Rat Raccoon and Lindor getting into it in the dugout, maybe it would have been squashed. But I think going through the entire season with the issues that they were having, I don't think can be fixed. Even with Buck Showalter here now, I think the writing's on the wall on that one, New Yorker. I don't see either of those happening. But, I mean, granted, Who wouldn't like those two, or even one of them? With Mal and Hader, obviously. But you have to trade for these guys. They're not going to be cheap. And are you willing to give a top prospect for one of those guys? I think. Look, I think bullpen's a year of the year thing, even though Hader and Mal are really damn good. But I'd be crazy if I didn't want them on my team. But it's what you have to give up to get them. Yeah, I would say that. But I mean, is he that much better to the point where you're gonna have to give up a top prospect to get him? Probably a McNeil or a Dominic Smith along with that prospect. That's something that you have to think about. When great. Obviously, you say any name. Well, great. I would like to have Jose Ramirez. Well, what are you giving up? Everybody likes the names. Granted, I want Chapman playing third base, or I want Jose Ramirez playing third base. I want Nick Castellanos playing the outfield. Great. Or Luis Castillo in the rotation. But what do you have to give up to get these guys? The only person from our top three prospects that are touchable is Ronnie Mauricio. Are you willing to give up Ronnie Mauricio and a guy like Dominic Smith or a Jeff McNeil for a Matt Chapman or a Jose Ramirez? If you're willing to do that, bring them on board. Juan Soto is going to be a Met. I called it first. And you know what? I would not be surprised if Steve Cohen has his eyes on Aaron Judge. I don't know why. I just had that feeling. Our future is pretty damn good, that's for sure. Once again, guys, 33 people staying in the stream right now. I really do appreciate it, guys. Keep on sticking around. Share this stream to more people. Don't forget, if you haven't hit on that like button yet, guys, please do. The more likes, the more this stream goes out to the top of the list, and more people will see it who are looking for this content. So don't forget to hit on that like button, guys. All right. Let's see what else you guys done. Robert, how you doing? The only news that we just got was that they are meeting still. They both been going back and forth to each other's rooms, talking amongst themselves and then talking to each other. So that's good. No, we are not trading JT Ginn either. They're not. They're not. They're not. You know, even with the news of Matt Allen, the Mets. I think if Matt Allen was at the top of his game and not coming back, having a hard time coming back from Tommy John, I think Matt Allen would be an untouchable. But at this point, JT Ginn can't be moved. He's our one top pitching prospect that the Mets can count on, and it wouldn't be surprised if you see him sometime next year, maybe even 2024. Hey, Karen, unfortunately, it's not over yet. Unfortunately. Merlin Phil, let me check. Tyler. There we go. 3.75 ERA. Not bad. 13-6. That's not bad. Especially for a bad team. And in that bandbox in Great America. I'm looking at his contract. Let's see. Let's see. Why don't I see his contract? I'm assuming, yeah, the Mets have to trade for him. So, yeah, the splits are, yeah, they are insane. I saw that. That's interesting, actually. But yeah, I mean, it's good. You would have to trade for him. I mean, he's not a bad back of the rotation type of guy. That's for sure. Bassett and Chapman for Mauricio, Smith, and JD Davis. Oakland might take that. Bassett is their ace, and obviously Chapman is pretty damn good. That's a deal that I would do. Obviously we have to figure out what we have to do with Beatty, but I'll take Bassett. That's great. That's a great deal. I think for both sides. Oakland gets their Mets third best prospect in Mauricio, or fourth really, because he's been moving down. But I think he's very very. That's a very good trade. I like that trade. I do that. Yeah, so you're probably gonna have to. He was one of their better pitchers other than Luis Castillo. So the Reds are probably gonna act for probably a Jeff McNeil and maybe a top 15 prospect. So it's just a matter of what you're willing to give up to get him for a guy who's probably a number 4 starter in this rotation. But I do like that Bassett and Chapman for Mauricio Smith and JD Davis. But again, I think McNeil is going to be in one of those deals, honestly, New Yorker. I know you like McNeil, but I think the Mets had their eyes set on trading McNeil. So it might be JD Davis sticking around or Smith. You're going to have to take Smith or JD Davis out for McNeil, Mauricio, and pick another one of those guys. I think Mauricio and McNeil can get it done, honestly. And maybe another lower level prospect. All right, let's see if we got any more info. Excuse me. Let's see. All right. Doesn't. Oh wait. All right. Nothing. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Nothing since the Jesse Rogers thing that they're still meeting. All right. Well, that's good. We like that. Like I said, guys, today and tomorrow are the most crucial days for the negotiations. No doubt about that. These guys need to make big progress, not little progress, big progress. Frank Montas is an option as well. The ace of the staff of the A's. Bassett's not a bad option either. I think the Mets are probably looking more of the Sean Manaea route. I think they want a lefty in that rotation. So I think Sean Manaea is probably more likely for the Mets than Bassett or Montas. But, and with Castillo, I like Castillo. I think he can be dominant than any of those guys. But again, you're going to have to give up more for Castillo than Montas or Bassett or Manaea. Merleful, I like Ryan Tepera. I like him. I think the Mets are going to go after Andrew Chafin, the lefty, as well. McHugh is an interesting option. I don't know if the Mets are going to go that route. I think Tepera and Chafin are probably two at the top of the list for the bullpen. And I think the Mets are going to give Familia a 1-year deal. I think the Mets like Familia and his arm. And it seems like Epler talked about it a little bit. So I have a feeling that Familia is going to come back on a 1-year deal, which I'm okay with. I'm not going to go crazy if Familia comes back on a 1-year deal. But putting Chafin and Tepera in this bullpen with the rest of the guys, May and Castro and Diaz. And don't forget, Sean Reed Foley is coming back from that injury, so he should be there. And if the Mets are going to get another pitcher in this rotation, Tyler McGill is going to be in his bullpen as a long man. So that's also going to strengthen out and lengthen the bullpen as well. Yeah, I don't know. I think Kelly's going to go back to the Dodgers. I don't think the Mets are going to get. I think the Mets are going to go what they know and trust. And if you have to choose Kelly or Familia, I think the Mets are going to go the route where they know what Familia is. And I think it's probably a safer bet that they'll get Familia. I don't know if they want to mess with David Peterson with the bullpen. He already had, issues already with injury. They usually don't like putting these pitchers in spots where it's going to hurt them. And I think David Peterson's just better suited for the starting role. But he has to win. He has to win a spot. You can't just give it to him. We got a lot of guys in this rotation, especially if the Mets get a guy like Akuchi or Rodon. Now you have a logjam. You got Peterson, you got McGill, who are going to probably fight for a long man type of role or maybe a fifth spot. Because if you get a Rodon, now you got DeGrom, you got Scherzer, you got Rodon, you got Walker and Carrasco. That means Tyler McGill and David Peterson are depth pieces who are probably going to be in the bullpen, which I worry about David Peterson in the bullpen. Tyler McGill, I don't. It's all good, Grant. It's all good. Let's see. All right. Refreshing again, guys. Let's see if we get anything here. Let's see. My Twitter's blowing up with the Russian-Ukraine stuff. And, the pictures and the videos that are coming in are kind of sad, actually. Sorry, I don't want to get all, war and political and stuff, but it's all over Twitter. So it's hard, following a lot of people, and then people are just retweeting stuff. So, but once again, guys, don't forget to hit on that like button. Right now, I'm refreshing Twitter to see if there's any more news that a reporter said that we can get through these negotiations. But at the moment, they are still meeting. They've been going back and forth with each other in the rooms, talking amongst themselves and talking with each other. So hopefully that's a good thing. But that's been happening the last couple of days, and there's been little progress. So right now, all we know is that they're meeting and they're congregating with themselves back and forth. So let's see if that actually is a good thing this time, because we're getting down to the wire. There's no doubt about that. We're getting to the last second of these negotiations for the next couple of days. Yeah, it could work. I see that as more of a playoff option, but you do have Seth Lugo as well, who they consider a long man as well for the most part. Not all the time, but could use him in a 3-inning role. But again, we'll just have to see. I would give, they're going to make them work. Whoever wins that position, I think the other guy is going to go to AAA. It's just that simple with Peterson and McGill. Robert, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Well, Lucchese's going to be, coming back from Tommy John, so he probably is not going to be back until June, probably. But yeah, he is a depth piece. Yamamoto should be healthy coming forward, which I thought was a really nice pickup by Sandy Alderson. He's not a great starter, but he's a guy who can give you a couple of innings, who can definitely be in the bullpen as a long man as well. So, yeah, Trevor Williams, we've seen him pitch. He was decent. He's not great. It's another guy. I think you got to give a lot of these guys a chance to make the team, and most of them are probably going to be, most likely going to be long men in the bullpen. Trevor Williams did both. He started and was a pitcher coming out of the pen when the starter wasn't doing too well. So, that's another option. The Mets have options, but it's not stopping the Mets from getting Carlos Rodon. That's for damn sure. Yeah, there was actually a article that I saw. I don't remember if it was SNY or somebody else. It might have been Joe DeMeo of SNY who talked about Jose Budo possibly being in the majors this year. So he's another option. And he got a really good arm. He's the 14th ranked prospect in the Met system, but they see him as a guy who might have a spot on this roster. So, but why not, right? The more arms, the better. That's all I can say. But Budo got some really good stuff. Rocky, I'm not sure 100% what you mean by that. If you can elaborate on that, please. All right, refreshing Twitter again, guys. See if you get anything. All right, nothing. Yep, nothing. Okay, cool. Hayden. Well, I mean, besides Thomas Sabucky being injured, when he did come up last year, that's a lefty option out of the bullpen for sure. I know the Mets have fallen out of favor of him a little bit. He's been dropping in the prospect list over the years. I feel like I've been hearing about Sabucky for like 5 years now. But if he's healthy, he's an interesting pitch lefty to have in that bullpen for sure. That's a good that's something that you can really look into. If he's healthy, there's no reason why he can't be in the bullpen. Oh yeah, Mothman definitely is definitely gonna get it to the wire, no doubt. Definitely is. I think it's gonna come to the last 10 minutes of negotiations, in my opinion. Oh, a surprise pitcher no one thought would make the team. I think Jose Budo, like I said. I think that even though he's ranked 14th on the list, I see the Mets might giving him a shot in spring training to see if he can make the team out of the bullpen. He's got a very good arm. 96, 97 miles an hour fastball. Got a pretty good curveball, nasty slider. So that's a guy you have to look at. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I think Ryan Tepera and I think Andrew Chafin are going to be the two top targets out of the bullpen on the free agent market for this team. Yes, they might go after Taylor Rogers on the Twins, but I feel like that's going by the wayside a little bit. I don't think they're going to go after him because I think that has to be a package deal with a Chapman. Not with I'm sorry, with Donaldson, but I don't really see that happen. But yeah, But I do Chafin and Tapera for sure. A player that will break out. Let's see. Uh, I'm gonna say this might not be that will break out. I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about the roster at the moment. I think Brandon Nimmo is gonna have a great year. Like I know he's been very good, but I think he's gonna be a little bit more on the power. I think he's gonna hit a little bit more home runs. I think he's gonna be even better as a right fielder or a left fielder, depending on where they want to put him. He's going to be a better defensive player in the corner outfield. I think Brandon Nimmo is going to have the biggest jump out of all the players. I do think Francisco Lindor is going to have a bounce back year. I think being in the spotlight first year in New York was just, I think it just hit him in the face really quickly and just messed him up. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. But the breakout year, I think is going to come from Brandon Nimmo, of course, in a contract year. Do you believe baseball will lose fans if there is a lockout? Yes. But diehard fans like you, me, and everybody else in this stream, the diehards who can't live without baseball, will always be there. The problem with baseball is that they already lost the casual fan. And the casual fans that are sticking around still are slowly going away if this lockout is going to continue. Yeah, they've been going back and forth. They've been in a room, I guess, talking about the proposals that they saw from each other. Then they gone back into the room together. Then I don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, can't you just whisper in somebody's ear to talk with them? Hey, do you like this? No, you have to walk out of the room. Seems like a waste of time to me. But what the hell do I know? I'm only a fan, right? Nobody cares about us. All right, here we go. Refreshing Twitter again. There we go. Let's see. Anything? Let's see. Do we have anything? Nope, guys. I don't see nothing new, and we're going up at 4:30 already. All right, nothing yet, guys. All right, so we just have to keep on waiting. Yeah, I don't know if they're fooling us. I just think they're just too stubborn to get out of their own way on both sides, and I think it's hurting them, honestly. So that's what I think it is. I kind of think that they're in their own way. Their egos are too big. Nobody wants to make a move, and I think that's what's hurting this negotiation more than anything else. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to give a lot more playing time, especially if there's only 3.5 to 4 weeks of spring training. You have to give a lot of the starters a lot of playing time, so you're not going to be able to see, a lot of Brett Beatty, a lot of Alvarez, a lot of Mauricio, or JT Ginn, Matthew Allen, guys like that, Alex Ramirez, Jose Budo, guys like that. So that sucks. But as long as, like I said, the minor league season is going to start on time no matter what. So these guys are going to get their reps. They're going to play. So they're going to get their time to play. Yes, they're not going to be on the bright lights of the spring training games, playing most of the games, but they will get their share of playing because the minor league season is not going to be affected by the lockout no matter how long it lasts. Maybe Rocky. We'll see. Definitely see. Well, I don't know if they're gonna. It's a tough one because I mean, what do you really think Nimmo could get? Like he just changed his agent to Scott Boras, so I mean, I don't think Nimmo's $100 million player. Is he a guy who can get 70 million? So I don't know. Maybe 4 or 5 year deal, 70 million, 80, maybe. I don't think Nimmo's $100 million a year player. So, uh, not cancellation of the season. Uh, Missing some regular season games. Monday is the last day. So if they don't break a deal by Monday, then we're probably going to miss a few games at least in the regular season, maybe more. But that's something that I don't know how they're gonna do it. If they get a deal done in the first week of March, then you'll probably miss about 7 games, a week of games in the regular season. It's just a matter of because they're gonna have to have 4 weeks of spring training no matter what. So you got to do the math on that part. So it's about 3.5 days, and who knows if they're gonna meet on Sunday. Because it's Sunday. They might meet on Saturday. They did it about a week ago, so we'll see. Oh boy. Any news? Any news? Nope, nothing. Yep, nothing yet, guys. No actual news except for Jesse Rogers about 45 minutes ago saying that they're still meeting. Let's see. Have any of you guys been watching the college baseball? I've been catching a few games here and there, but I'm glad that ESPN is playing a lot of those college baseball games. They need to be on TV more often. Oh yeah, spring training is gonna have to happen. You can't just start the season like it's. These guys are not gonna just roll up and say, "All right, we're gonna play a season game." These guys got to ramp up, especially the pitchers. They got to get shake out their arms, spread out their arms, and everything like that, and loosen up that arm to stretch it out to go 6, 7 innings. Throwing 60, 70, 80. Usually they'll throw 20 pitches, then they'll go to 50, then 70, and 80 and 90, so they get ramped up and stretched out. Yeah, Rocky, that's the problem with Nimmo. That's why it's hard to judge what really would he get. Every year he's been injured. Every year. Once it was his neck, then it was the nerve in his hand, then it was his back. So every year he was injured. So how much are you willing? The Mets are willing to give? I wouldn't go more than $80 million over like 5 years. Yeah, I do. Nelson, I actually think that there's a chance Beatty could be up in the second half of this year. Maybe as one of the September call-ups. But definitely Beatty will be up next year, guaranteed in 2023. Alvarez, maybe. I think it's like 50-50, depending on how he progresses defensively, because the bat is there. That's just the other thing. And okay, do you consider Chris Bryant just an outfielder? Well, if the Mets get Chris Bryant, they can move him around. If you get a guy like Nick Castellanos, maybe they're thinking Castellanos is better money spent than giving Nimmo an $80 million contract for 5 years. So I think it depends on who the Mets get. If the Mets get Chris Bryant, I can still see them signing Nimmo. If the Mets get a Suzuki, the Japanese guy, say a Suzuki, I could see them getting rid of Nimmo. If they get Castellanos, I could see them not signing Nimmo. So it really depends on what the Mets do in free agency or trades to get an outfielder, and then it probably really determines what they're going to do. I think the writing's on the wall of what the Mets do in the free agent market. If they get Bryant, if they get Suzuki or Castellanos, if they get Suzuki or Castellanos, I think Nimmo's probably going to be a free agent. If they get Chris Bryant, you could probably look into signing Nimmo because Chris Bryant can play multiple positions. So you're not worried about him taking Nimmo's spot. Castellanos and Suzuki, you could see them taking his spot. Stoney, what's up? How you doing? Another member of Talking Mets and Rob. Nothing except for they're still meeting. They've been going back and forth, talking to one another, and then talking to themselves in separate rooms. So the meeting is still going on. I think it's been a pattern. Around 5:10, you'll start hearing news about them. The meeting's over, and we'll hear what has been said in the negotiations. Probably by 5:00, because that seems since Monday they've been ending the meeting around 5:00, and then you would hear something around 5:15 or so. So nothing yet, Stoney. No, not at all, Timothy. I don't think so. Alvarez is not going anywhere. That's for sure. Yeah, I know, Grant. I know. I try to be nice. You know, people have their own, mind when it comes to trades. You know, but hey, what are you gonna do, right? But that's okay. So, guys, have you been watching the college games that's been on ESPN? I've watched, I think, 3. Not like the whole game, but I've been like turning it on every now and then. I do enjoy seeing the chants by the teams, and a couple of the top college players that are going to be in the draft. And hearing things of what the Mets might do. I try to look for that player on that team, which is kind of fun to watch as well. And can't go wrong with metal bats. I always love the sound of that. You can like hit a pop up and you just hear bing. So that's always fun. But no problem, no problem. But yeah, I have watched a couple of games of the college baseball. Um, I'm gonna say no. Even though my heart says yes, but if I'm thinking logically here, I don't think they're gonna get it done on time. Me as like a person who wants it to end, in my heart I say yes, but thinking about it, I don't think it's gonna happen, Timothy. Unfortunately. All right, guys. So I'm gonna refresh. It's a little past 4:30, so I'm gonna refresh one more time. Maybe we'll hear that the meeting's ending. God, there's so much stuff about Russia and Ukraine. Oh my God, I don't even follow so much political stuff or like news reports. Hey, Michael, how you doing? Like the amount of retweets that people are just that I follow retweeting all over the place. about Russia and Ukraine. I know it's a big deal, but when you're trying to find any little detail about the negotiations, it's kind of hard skimming through everything about Ukraine and Russia. So once again, guys, I'm just scrolling through Twitter again to see if there's any updates on the negotiations. Yeah, nothing yet, guys. Going into past 4:30 already. There's nothing going on as of yet, except that they're still meeting. They're talking amongst themselves and then getting back together and negotiating. So it seems like it's a trend. They get together around 1:30. They negotiate together. They go back to their rooms and talk amongst themselves. It seems like the meeting ends around between 4:30 and 5 o'clock, and then we'll get news a little bit after 5 o'clock. So that seems like the trend over the last couple of days, and probably what's going to be today. Yeah, Michael, it's been like I'm so used to like seeing all the people I follow sports wise, reporters, players, everything else, just mainly sports, and I'm flooded with like the conflict, the Ukraine invasion that's been going on with Russia. So sucks, but it's the world we live in nowadays. But let's see. Nothing, guys. Nothing. I don't know. Maybe today, maybe, because it's Thursday, it's getting closer to the deadline. Maybe they'll actually stay a little bit longer in the meeting. I don't know. But we shall see, guys. Let's just hope even if a deal doesn't get done today, I just want to see there's movement in the right direction, not little bits and pieces, because all there's been has been little bits and pieces going back and forth for counter offers. But nobody was like, oh, we agreed that this is a good idea. With minimum salary, they both agree. We haven't heard any of that in the first 3 days. We just heard them making little changes here and there, and nobody's happy with it. So let's hope we get a big move by somebody where they're like, well, okay, I can get on board with that, and we get some progress. Because I think as soon as if we hear today when the meetings end and you hear from a reporter that they agreed on a minimum salary, that's one step closer to getting a deal done. One step closer than opening day starting on time. That's what I want to hear today. Let's hope. Oh, honestly, I don't even think it has to be the CBT. I think it can be either the service time, the arbitration pool, or the minimum salary. If it gets closer, either way, to with one of them, I think it's a good sign in the right direction. And like I said, I'm just hoping. It's already 4:40. It it seems like they've been in the room longer than they were yesterday. The meetings end yesterday earlier than it is now, and we didn't get nothing until like 5:10, 5:15. So let's hope that longer the meeting, the better it could be. But once again, guys, earlier today there was about 20 to 25 players that showed up to the negotiations. So I don't know if that's just a sign of power and unity, or it's a sign that more players came in saying, hey, we got to get this deal done. Somebody, nobody has to make it perfect. Just have to get somewhere in the middle for both sides. Maybe that's why the players were there. I don't know. But I don't think it's a bad thing that more players were there. All right, let's see. What are we doing? All right, I don't see nothing yet, guys. Nothing yet. Yep, nothing yet. All right. Well, see what happens, guys. I don't know. I don't think the owners are bluffing, honestly, because I think the owners actually save money by not playing games. And I don't know if you heard Rocky earlier about what I said. There was one of the reporters talked to like a statistician or a mathematician or somebody who figures out the payrolls and salaries per day. Players on average in total every day a game is missed. $20 million the players are losing out on every game. That's a lot of money. So, again, if there's no games, the owners don't got to pay for workers, security, opening up anything, the concessions, buying vendor foods, buying the foods from the vendors, buying the drinks from the vendors. None of that's going to happen if the games aren't going to start. So the owners are saving a ton of money, not just on the player salaries, but on the concessions as well, opening the doors for security, all the other administration staff that's around, walking around, ticket reps, all that stuff. They're not paying them. So the owners are not technically losing a lot of money. They're probably saving if you really look at the bottom line if they're losing games. The players are going to be the ones losing games. $20 million a game. Overall, the players will be losing per game. That's a lot of money. A lot of money. So I don't think the owners are bluffing when they say they don't care about losing games. Now, they might not be making money, but they sure as hell ain't losing money. Oh yeah, the Conforto is not a rep. It's actually Max Scherzer. Well, Lindor and Scherzer has been at the meeting, so I guess both of them were union reps for their other teams, the Indians and the Guardians and the Dodgers. And when two of the union reps from those teams, Scherzer and Lindor, came to the Mets, they're considered, I guess, union reps for the teams, I guess. But Lindor and Scherzer were there, and Scherzer, Lindor, and Nimmo were there on Tuesday. So I guess those three are reps for the Mets. Thank you, Karen. I really appreciate it. Well, it's 4:45. Let's check Twitter. Getting close to 5 o'clock. Already the meeting has been gone longer than the last couple of days, so that can't be bad news. Yeah, I don't see nothing. I don't think this is bad news, guys. There must be some progress, even if it's more than we think. Then they're still in the meetings almost near 5 o'clock. Yesterday, the meeting was done by like 4:20. So, I mean, that this has to be a good sign. Hmm. Yep, nothing yet, guys. Honestly, I don't think this is a bad thing. John, how you doing, buddy? I don't know. That's gonna be a lot of teams, John. I don't know if that was a bluff by the owners, but we'll see. Oh, thank you so much, Michael. Yeah, I try to change it up for the new year for my videos. So I just made the Citi Field scoreboard as my option for the setup. So thank you, Mike. I really appreciate it. Grant, that's true. He does have that clutch elbow pin. Yeah, I wouldn't say I think he's a clutch hitter. I just think he's very streaky. He'll have a 3-week span where he can't get out, and a 3-week span where he can't even get the ball and bat on the ball. So I think it goes both ways. But unfortunately, I don't think unless the Mets are going to get him on a 1-year deal, I don't think they're going to sign Conforto. I think it's a bluff, John. I think it is. Just like I think the owners. I think the owners are serious about missing games if they don't get a deal done by Monday. But I think that's a bluff because that means about 15, 16 teams are going to lose their draft pick because most of them are not under 100, over 135 million. That's a little crazy. I think that's a little much. Well, I hope that's bluffing because that's insane because there's a lot of teams that are going to lose draft picks. And then where would they go? They would just go to other teams that are under 135 million? That's a little scary. All right. Once again, refresh on Twitter. Alrighty, as of 10 seconds ago, meetings are over for the day. News to come. Jesse Rogers, 36 seconds ago. All right, guys, so we got something. Meetings are over. So here we go, guys. All right, guys, so you're just tuning in. The MLB negotiations, the meetings are over. They have just ended, according to Jesse Rogers of ESPN. Waiting for the news. If any good or bad, I don't know yet. We're waiting for the news to see what's going down. Yeah, I'm thinking, it does, they didn't walk out, they saw the player, they saw both sides yesterday going in and out of rooms, in and out of the building, the hotel, back and forth. So it must be something. I think it's going to be better than we think. But let's hope. We're waiting for the news, guys. The meeting is over. Yep, and JT Darren Klein of what does he do? Where is he from? From the MLB journalist, uh, writer for the Cleveland Guardians, also said the same thing. 4th straight day of meetings have ended. More info to come. So 2 reporters now waiting for info. So that's probably not a bad thing. Because usually yesterday we heard that we saw people walking out and there was already news almost right away for the most part. But just gonna keep on refreshing Twitter. But meetings are over, guys. You're just tuning in. Meetings are over. Oh, Harley, I'm gonna go nuts. I might get a beer. Even though I gotta go to work in 3 hours. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I'm getting pumped. I feel I don't know why, but I got this excitement in me now, thinking that it's good news. If it's bad news, I might get red. I might get really pissed. But let's hope for good news, guys. Cross your fingers. Refreshing Twitter again, guys. Let's go. Let's get that good news rolling. Come on. Let's see. Come on. Give us something. What do we got? What do we got? Nothing, nothing, nothing. All right, still waiting, guys, on the news. Jim Beam cocktail. That's not a bad idea. Not a bad. Got it. Me, I like it on the rocks. Once again, guys, if you're just tuning in, it's on your screen. MLB negotiations day 4. Meetings are over. They lasted a little bit longer than they did yesterday. So multiple reporters said they know the meeting is over, but they're waiting for news. Yesterday, reporters didn't say that. The last 3 days, the reporters didn't say that. All they said was the meeting was over. And that was it. And now waiting for news means maybe they're going to do a press conference and the deal is done, or there's not a lot to talk about. It's just regular news that we forget. I don't know, Kendall. We have to wait and see, buddy. Let's hope that, it is kind of weird that the reporters today said meetings are over, more info to come. 2 reporters already said that. The last couple of days, it was just the meeting is over, and we didn't hear nothing else until 20 minutes later. So more info to come means I don't know if a deal is done, but maybe there was progress made more than we think. But let's hope, guys. Let's hope. We're all here to get this deal done. Even though we don't have much say in it, we need it to be done. Because who doesn't want the fury of free agency and trade rumors as soon as the lockout ends, man? That's going to be great. Uh-oh. I don't know what I saw, but somebody said, wow, at Jesse Rogers. I don't know why, but hold on. Let's see. Maybe it was just somebody just talking stuff. All right, so no news yet, guys. I don't want to scare anybody. Exactly, Stoney. Hey, I'll take a Lindor smile any day of the week. Maybe the deal's done, guys. Once again, guys, if you're just tuning in, don't forget to hit on that like button. There is no deal as of yet, guys. We don't know the news that came out of the meetings. The meeting is over as of like 5 minutes ago. We're waiting on the reporters to get the news. Let's hope if the deal is done, they're just getting together to have a press conference. Or if the deal is not done, that there's more progress than we think and that it's getting closer to a deal. Let's hope. Let's hope. All right, Bob Nightingale. I don't know if I want to read Bob Nightingale. Negotiations have ended with 4 more days now remaining until to reach a deal to avoid canceling. I don't know what that means. He basically is saying the obvious. So I don't want to talk about Nightingale. You see, even my friend CPA that I hang out with the 7-Line Army, a good guy. He's like, I know it's only been 7 minutes since you said the meeting's over, news to come. And then he's like, well, we're waiting. So yeah, obviously we're waiting. So I'm telling you guys, I don't think it's bad news. Oh, John, you're putting the pressure on me. Like I said, Jesse Rogers has been on point since I've been following him. So, and people are making fun of Bob Nightingale's tweets. So, yeah, I'm not going on Bob Nightingale. I'm gonna do a little The Rock rendition. Finally, we'll see. I'll do something like that if the deal is done. We'll do something like that. But the deal's got to get done today, guys. Getting me excited. I'm telling you, I think it's good news, guys. I don't know if the deal is done, but I have a pretty darn good feeling that there's progress, good progress. Because I'm going to the tweets from the last couple of days from multiple reporters. They kept on saying that, when they said that the meeting was over, they never said more info to come. So I don't know if that means anything. Maybe it's just the way they said it. But two reporters saying it the exact same way, I don't know. We'll see, guys. But I'm feeling good right now. Let's go. Let's go. I'm excited now. Give me some good news before work. I'd be very happy. Won't make me as tired while I'm at work. Refreshing again, guys. Anything? No. Nothing yet, guys. Sorry. No news yet. Once again, guys, if you're just tuning in, 41 people in the stream right now. I really do appreciate all the support, guys. We are here to hashtag end the lockout, talk about the baseball lockout. If you're just tuning in, day 4 of the meetings between the owners and the players have ended about 10, 15 minutes ago. We are waiting on any news from the reporters, but at the moment we don't have no news. I'm not sure if it's good or bad that it's taking some time for reporters to get the news, but 2 reporters already said meetings are over, info to come. So again, I'm trying to look at any positivity. When they said more news to come, I don't know if that's just a way they just phrase their sentence in the tweet, or meaning that there is more news to come, meaning that they got word that there's good things happening. I don't know. Don't want to put any good news out there if there is none, but I'm just trying to think positive right here. Let's see. Nothing yet, guys. Driving me nuts. Ugh. I'm like nervous. Like, you know how annoyed I am? Like, when your vacation's coming up? And like my vacation was supposed to start tomorrow. I was supposed to be getting ready to go on a plane tomorrow morning to Port St. Lucie, right? And today at work, I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, God damn. Usually the day before vacation, I'm extremely happy. Nobody can get me mad. And now that I'm not going, it's like, damn it. Even my boss is like, wait a second. Aren't you going to vacation? I'm like, no, man, I'm not. It sucks, right? All right, here we go, guys. Refreshing again. Nothing yet, guys. Fingers crossed, guys. All right. Yeah, exactly, Mothman. Like Bob Nightingale, like just stated the obvious. Like it was supposed to be big news. Joseph, I didn't see that on Bleacher Report. I think they're more speculative than actual news, but maybe they know something that nobody else does yet. But wait and see. Again, guys, if you're just tuning in, 2 reporters did say that the meetings are over for day 4. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. All right, refreshing Twitter. Here we go. Anything. Nothing yet, guys. I don't know if that's bad news, guys. I saw the light. You thought I was gonna come back? It's over. No. Well, Harley, I mean, yeah, baseball is on the up considering that with TV revenue, ad revenue, and stuff like that. But where they're struggling is attendance, and attendance hurts concessions. Attendance hurts you know, there's not a lot of people that buy day of game tickets anymore. That hurts them as well, and everything like that. But again, they've been making money. But you know what? I guarantee you the cost has been gone up as well. Yeah, I'm thinking. You know, knowing that like we know the meeting's over, and a couple of reporters said that more news to come. Maybe they're getting together to put out a statement that they got it or what. I don't know, but let's hope, guys. We need something good. God, all the videos that are coming out of Ukraine, man, is just scared, man. It's crazy. That's just insane. I don't want to like. Wow, guys. I see that, refreshing Twitter for news for baseball, and then I get a video about you see a mother with a child looking out the window, and then you see a fighter jet just throw bombs on their house. Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, geez. All I want is baseball news. I'm getting this crap. This world is nuts. All right, guys, here we go. I don't see anything as of it. That's all it is, Mothman. Billionaires and millionaires fighting over nothing. People are making like a joke, not really. Well, I guess it's a joke that could we put economic sanctions on Putin and Rob Manfred? What's up, Joe? You made it. It's all good, buddy. You said you were going to make it at the end. All right, refreshing Twitter again. Anything? No. Just a lot of people tweeting now about, get the deal done. Yeah, there's people talking about the lockout. I have to see one more tweet about Putin trying to get back together the Soviet Union. All right. Nothing yet, guys. No news as of yet. That's so true. They probably, well, we're already in it. I mean, not technically, but we got troops in the bordering NATO countries and the Baltic regions, so unfortunately. Again, Ukraine is not part of NATO, so, you know, NATO, Ukraine was trying to get a part of NATO for years, and Putin's just like the hell with you guys. You want to be, they want to be protected by NATO countries, and he's we know Putin's insane. This guy wants to reestablish the Soviet Union. I mean, the damn guy was in the KGB. I mean, he was a militia member. I mean, come on, But we all know why Russia wants to take you over Ukraine. I mean, it's pretty obvious what they're trying to do. The one country that is not part of NATO but surrounded by NATO countries is getting taken over, and he just take Chernobyl, that nuclear power plant that had many problems many years ago. So he's taking it over for a reason. Those country that Ukraine, borders Poland and Latvia and all those, one step closer to Germany. So Mothman, I wouldn't say that, because if Ukraine was a part of NATO, then they would have had to evoke Article 5, with the saying, you attack one, you attack all. So we would just be in another world war, which I'm hoping we don't do, because there's a lot of people that are going to get drafted that are going to lose their lives for what, really? Another dictator who's just insane? Yeah, you know what it is? Ukraine was slowly becoming a Western democracy, basically. Slowly, there was a lot of corruption, but they were slowly getting to like the Western philosophy of diplomacy, and it got too close to the Russian border. We can't have diplomacy near our borders, so they said, the hell with you guys. And Putin knew that no NATO country is going to go and fight Russian troops in Ukraine, because that just is not something that NATO countries do. We might support the borders around that area, supporting NATO countries, Latvia and the Baltic countries, So we're getting into a political situation, but let's get into any news. Let's see. Anything. Oh, Ukraine. Biden just text. Boy. It's 5:07 and nothing yet. All right. Well, I don't think that's bad news, guys. How could it be? Yep. Andre, it's exactly what's going on with China. They see what Russia's doing and they're like, yep. And they just flew 9 like fighter jets over Taiwan airspace like a few hours ago, or like sometime today or last night. So, again, people are looking just at Russia, but don't be surprised. Russia and China are on the same page. That's the scary part. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, we get 550,000 barrels of gas from Russia daily. And like, the freaking gas is going to be about $10, because you think Putin's going to give us gas for any cheaper? No, he's going to raise the price because he's doing all the sanctions on them. Yep. I mean, it's basically a split image of what happened in the beginning of World War II, right? With Hitler in Germany, with the whole, trying to take over a lot of countries in Europe, Poland, and all these other countries. And he slowly did it one by one, and then joined forces with Japan, and then Russia, and then it was just a big thing taking over Europe. And it's basically almost very similar. It's just, China, it's not surprising that another communist country in China, I wouldn't consider Russia a communist country, but they're run by a dictator, so it's close enough. China and Russia, they're on the same page, and then you got North Korea to deal with, and then Saudi Arabia and Iran. Nobody likes us. Nobody likes the Western civilization. So, yeah, Joseph Stalin, yeah. And at some point, Mussolini of Italy too were a part of it, until he realized that he was going to get screwed by the United Kingdom, and said, "The hell with this! I'm going to the Allies, not the Axis." Again, a little history lesson here, guys. Yeah, it's crazy though. It's like, I don't know what Putin's plan, but I mean, why would Putin just take Ukraine? He's not going to just stop. It's like, okay, we got our new government in Ukraine. Then let's just stop, put our feet up. Nah, he's trying to do something else. Exactly, Holly. We made these countries what they are by taking all their natural resources and cheap labor. Yeah, I know, Hayden. You talk. I know. I see your Twitter. I see your Instagram post. I see it. Don't worry. I mean, I think it's more concerning that the cyber attacks are probably more scary at the moment. I don't think anybody's stupid enough at the moment to use a nuclear attacks on another country. That's just a disaster waiting to happen. But you do have that whole Geneva Convention. Where if you start to kill civilians purposely and bomb innocent people in areas where you shouldn't. At the moment, I know there's some reports that Russia has been like blowing up hospitals and crap, which is a part of the Geneva Convention, which is illegal. It's like you're supposed to strategically go after like airfields and military bases and like nuclear plants, just to go after you know targeted military positions, not innocent areas of the country. But you know but we'll see. Oh, Stony, I think we have those. Check Twitter. Uh-oh. Check it Twitter. Sorry, guys. Got a little. Oh boy, that's not good. Evan Jorvik. MLBPA made proposals on service time manipulation and amateur draft on STM. New proposal would grant service time to fewer players than before, narrow scope of it. On draft, still 7-pick lottery, but changing other elements that would penalize teams for consecutive losing years. Interesting. Let's see what else we got. Jesse Rogers just tweeted, "It's not good." Jesus. Not good. Oh boy. Not good. Let's see if we get any more info. Yep, somebody posted this. No deal at the moment, so it's clearly not good news. The union moved a little towards the league on draft order and service time elimination, but the day ended early because the sides had nothing more to discuss, according to sources. That was from Jesse Rogers. Who wants to talk more history? But all right, guys. So obviously we didn't get the news we wanted. Sorry, I froze again. I did freeze. Sorry, I think you guys can still hear me. Sorry. Oh, sorry, guys, about the camera. But all right, guys. So you already know the deal. Let me just write it down. I know you guys can hear me, but cannot see me because, Wi-Fi.